So I am Patty Chess. I'm a neonatologist. Most people say, a what? That's a pediatrician who specializes in babies that are critically ill. And our job is to try to keep them alive. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. And one of my roles is training future neonatologists. So I'm looking for better ways to do that because we are being asked to do more and more, teach more and more as the level of complexity increases. And there are work hour rules that we didn't have when I was a trainee. So I used to work 100 hours a week when I was a fellow, but now I can only get them for at most 80 hours a week, which sounds like a lot, but it goes very quickly. By law, we can't do more than that. I also do research, so I have a secondary appointment in biomedical engineering, and I'm vice chair for pediatrics for education. I've been at the university since 1988, so please don't do the math. I ran a basic science research lab for 15 years, so I had a lot of training in my medical career and in my basic science career. I was a math chemistry double major, but for the last 10 years, I did a right-hand turn and focused more on education. And within a fairly short period of time, found myself in leadership roles with more responsibility for identifying future goals and future directions. And now I'm writing curriculum for the American Board of Pediatrics and ACGME, saying what do the fellows need to do so that we feel that they're certified. And I'm doing all this with zero formal training in education, and that was making me more and more nervous. So I was approached by Elsevier to write a 400-page first edition neonatology textbook, looked at this as an opportunity to say, wonderful, I'll take a sabbatical. And the university said, that's not enough, you need to do more. So I said, fine, I'll take some courses at Warner and I'll get better at that. And one course led to 2 courses, and now I'm a matriculated student and halfway through a very slow boat to China because I'm a vice chair of education and a clinician, so I have a full-time job. But I have found the Warner School very open and welcoming, and I'm halfway through my degree now and looking forward to the next 2 years that it'll take me to finish it. So the courses that I have taught and my students are really focusing on the neonatologists. I do interact with medical students, residents, the other subspecialties, but really at the level of identifying the leaders in those fields and helping those leaders identify their future directions. I was also elected to the chair of the Organization of Neonatology Training Program Directors nationally, and one of the things that we all recognized was that we have to get more information across to our fellows with less and less periods of time, so it made sense to move online. A lot of the senior neonatologists that are my generation were very, very hesitant to do that. So initially I was happy with just sending the young'uns on their way and saying, this is great, this is a good idea, please make it happen. And there was a lot of pushback from the older neonatologists, more senior, more experienced, especially the ones that were at the Ivy League programs who were afraid that if we moved to an online curriculum, it would take away from the fellows wanting to go to their institutions. You know, why would they come to my institution and deal with living in Manhattan if they could get the same education online and live in wonderful, beautiful, easy to live in Rochester, New York? So I came to realize that to really move this national online curriculum forward, I would need to be part of the group that was moving it forward. And to do it the right way, we felt that we needed to study it. So we're involved in a randomized clinical trial, randomized educational trial, where half of the fellows nationally are being taught with the standard PowerPoint. You stand up here and you spew the information at your fellows, and half of the fellows are being given access to online material that we are developing and giving half the fellows exposure to, and the people that are training those fellows, and then seeing the outcomes of the different ways of training the fellows. The lessons learned about designing and developing online courses. For this part of it, I'm really going to speak to the online courses that I developed here for my fellows. And that included a 3-week orientation for our fellows, because I'm taking individuals who have gone through college, medical school, pediatric residency, and now they've committed to neonatology. But neonatology is not only a high acuity field, and there's a lot of technical things to learn and whatnot, it's very high stress. It's hard to imagine something higher stress than you're expecting a healthy full-term baby for 9 months, your baby died. We did the best we could, we're sorry. So we really need to give our fellows the skill sets, not only medically, but emotionally, to support them through that transitional stage. And I saw the online opportunity as something that we can provide the infrastructure for these fellows as they transition from the residency to the fellowship. The information is in one place to refer back to, the journaling and the discussion boards to help team building and whatnot. So that was a great addition, and actually I used my practicum this year for that 3-week rotation online course. And then the course I'm currently finishing up, I'm working on developing a scholarly activity module so that all of the fellowships, hopefully eventually across the institution and potentially across the country, will be able to utilize an online set of modules where the information is available so that everybody has the same, at least minimum, exposure and understanding. So lessons that I learned, it isn't as scary or as hard as it sounds. The people here are fabulous. When I set foot in the classroom, I hadn't set foot in the classroom for over 35 years, and that was a huge step. And within a few weeks, I felt very comfortable working side by side with people much younger than I was. And it wasn't just the faculty that were very supportive, it was my fellow colleague students as well, and I learned a lot from them as well. Start with the end goal in mind. They always reinforce that, see where you want to go and then figure out how to get there. Keep it interesting, fun, and interactive, and I found developing these courses online, I can do that much more effectively than doing what I'm doing right here, spewing stories at you from a PowerPoint. Get feedback from others early and at multiple steps along the way. I trained in an era where you did it yourself and you pulled together your information yourself and you just kind of moved forward. But this idea of showing it to others and reinventing in iterative ways and positive ways has been very helpful, not just for online teaching, but every aspect of my teaching. And help is an email away. I can't tell you how many times I'll email at 10 at night saying, okay, well, I'll look in the morning and see if I get a response, and 5 minutes later it's ding, I get a response and I'm off to the next step. Lessons learned about teaching online. The time and effort invested before the start of class was paid back in spades once the class started. It takes a commitment to learn the learning management system and develop the course, but Blackboard, which was what I used and what the university uses, was a very easy way to give feedback. Grading was very easy. I found it was, once I figured out how to do it, it was an easier way to teach and to interact with the people that I was working with. The fellows students that I was working with also found it very helpful and easy to work with. I was a little anxious about, there's so much they have to deal with when they come to the university. They're coming from a new city, new institution. They have to learn a whole different way of doing things. I'm adding one more thing onto that. But they universally said it was helpful. And it's like eating a Pringle. You can't just stop at one. So I'm already thinking about, okay, I'm tightening up this one. What's the next one after that? What I'd like to share with the faculty in the room that they might consider online teaching. Do it. You won't regret it, but it takes a leap of faith to get started. There's a certain inertia to overcome to do something that you haven't done before, but well worth it. There are excellent resources at Warner for teaching the whys, hows, and whom's, and one will likely gain much more than expected when learning about an online teaching and learning that can be incorporated into one's teaching. So it's not just that you learn how to do online teaching, you become a better teacher overall. So when I talk about needing to teach our fellows challenging things, they come in having spent time dealing with a 2-year-old who has a viral illness and is wheezing and is being treated with asthma meds, and I have 3 years to get them comfortable with this. And that is one of our babies. That is in our own NICU, and you can't find them there, so there's no HIPAA violation because they're surrounded with so much technology. But you can see by their smiling faces that eventually they all do get to that point.